You know that dusty, tangled nest of HDMI cables behind your TV, the one where you're constantly swapping out cords,
Oh, yeah, everyone knows that mess.
trying to figure out like which one actually goes to the gaming console and which one feeds the soundbar.
It is a totally chaotic reality for, well, almost every entertainment setup. You add just one new streaming box, and the whole system becomes this really fragile house of cards.
Right, exactly. And so, for today's deep dive, we are looking at a piece of hardware that claims to actually fix this. It's the Atlona HT-EUROPA-4-2 matrix switcher, which is made by Hall Technologies.
Right.
But here's my immediate question. At $550, why on earth wouldn't you just, grab a $20 splitter off Amazon to handle multiple screens?
Well, mostly because a basic splitter just blindly duplicates one signal across all your displays. I mean, the Atlona is an actual 4x2 matrix.
What does that mean exactly?
So it has 4 independent inputs and 2 independent outputs. That means you are physically routing up to 4 separate 4K sources to 2 totally different displays.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you could have, say, a PS5 sending a 4K game to the living room, while a Roku sends a completely different sports feed to the patio TV. And it's all actively managed by one box.
Okay, so the routing makes sense, but here is the classic AV headache, right? My main TV is a brand new 4K OLED, but the patio TV is like a 10-year-old 1080p panel.
Oh boy, the dreaded ED-died handshake failure.
Right. Usually if I push a 4K Apple TV signal through a standard matrix, the whole system just panics. It downscales everything to the lowest common denominator, and suddenly my OLED looks terrible.
Yeah, that happens a lot. But the Atlona actually handles this by using independent scaling on both output ports. It doesn't force a system-wide downgrade.
So it just treats them separately.
Exactly. The chipset inside physically processes the 4K stream and actively scales it down to 1080p specifically for that older port.
Nice.
And while it does that, it leaves the 4K stream entirely untouched for your OLED.
It's almost like having a bilingual translator actively interpreting for two different people. Like, one speaks 4K, the other only speaks 1080p, and it's doing this simultaneously without stuttering or holding up the conversation.
That is a great analogy. It translates locally, per output.
But wait, if the box is actively crunching video data to scale that 4K down to 1080p on the fly, doesn't that processing delay mess up the audio sync going to an external receiver?
Well, it absolutely would if the audio were staying tangled up in that scaled video. But that is where the audio de-embedding comes into play.
Right.
HDMI inherently carries video and audio intertwined in the same digital packet. This unit physically strips that audio data out before the video even hits the displays.
Oh, okay, so how does it output it then?
You get digital optical audio extraction on both outputs and analog extraction specifically on output 1.
Got it. Now, for output 2, the specs mention an ARC, or audio return channel function, but it notes it's controlled by a DIP slider.
Yeah.
Why use a manual slider instead of just, putting in a software menu?
Because AV installers really hate relying on software for critical routing, a DIT slider is just a tiny physical hardware switch right on the chassis.
Oh, I see.
When you slide it, it mechanically forces the ARC open or closed. You're hardwiring the audio path so it can't be accidentally disabled by someone just pressing the wrong button on a remote.
That is incredibly smart. And speaking of things you don't want to mess up with a remote, we have to talk about CEC automation.
Oh, definitely.
Because we all know CEC can be a total nightmare of unintended power-ons.
Yeah.
You turn on your Blu-ray player and suddenly 3 different screens boot up in your house.
Exactly. And this unit addresses that by letting you lock down automatic or manual CEC control.
How does the automatic mode work?
In automatic mode, it triggers purely based on active input signal detection. So if the matrix detects a live signal on input 1, it sends the specific power command to turn on only the targeted display.
So it's targeted automation. That really removes the friction of managing mixed generation tech.
It really does. It takes the most complex parts of AV management, like the resolutions, the audio routing, the power states, and just makes them practically invisible to you.
And honestly, for a $550 piece of enterprise-grade hardware, you kind of expect that kind of reliability.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes complete sense why distributors like HDTVSupply throw in free USA shipping and slap a 3-year warranty on it. It's clearly built for complex home theaters or small sports bars where you absolutely cannot afford a display failure mid-game.
Completely agree.
Which leaves you with a really fascinating thought to ponder. If hardware like this is now perfectly translating signals, independently stripping out audio and automatically triggering power based purely on signal detection.
Yeah.
Are we rapidly approaching a future where the traditional remote control becomes entirely obsolete? Maybe that dusty, tangled nest of cables won't be the only thing we leave behind in the living room of the past.